the city. What is going on, St. Louis City fans? My name is Riley, and this is Soul of the City, brought to you by First Touch Media. I am here today with Chris and Ian. Today is Sunday, March the 5th, and guys, we've just defeated Charlotte FC in the first home match in St. Louis history. Guys, what did you think of it?
It was beautiful to see all of St. Louis pop out and be outside the stadium. We were there 2 or 3 hours ahead of the game just to do some pre-match interviews, so check that out on YouTube whenever that video comes out. We had some very interesting people pop out and talk to us. So it was just amazing to see St. Louis get something that's been a long time coming. First home game. What'd you think, Ian?
I thought it was great. I mean, it's awesome to get a win. Awesome to see the stadium finally packed out for the real team. We saw the Bayer Leverkusen
Sold out
game.
crowd.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Riley, you were in the game. What was the environment like inside
Oh my gosh!
when that tifo rolled out? What do you?
I mean, when the tifo rolled out, it was crazy. I mean, you saw. I've seen it all over social media. All of the images of the stadium wide tifo that you know the organizers at the club put together. It looked crazy. The sounds in the stadium, I mean, it was so loud in there. I walked out of there with a headache. My fiance walked out of there with a headache. But I mean, it was a good headache. It was something that we were both happy with. It was so loud and it was so great to see the MLS come to St. Louis.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that Hellcat tifo that needs to happen.
Yeah,
somebody's got to
absolutely.
make that happen.
Meet me in St. Louis. Meet me at the park is a cool one.
It's
but
cool.
Yeah.
I want something a little bit more aggressive.
We want a gateway to hell. I want to see the arch with just fire burning.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd
Yeah.
be nice.
Yeah.
With like steps leading down into
exactly.
hell.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get into the game. I feel like right off the kickoff, it was like first 5 minutes, nobody really got settled. It was that first 5 minutes. It was really quick. It was just kind of like ball was bouncing around, couldn't get possession. It was really chippy too, right off the bat. We'll go into it, but like 8 yellow cards throughout this entire game.
It's a lot.
And then it felt like Charlotte was pretty much Enzo Capetti in particular, just crying on the ground for maybe 10 minutes of that.
Probably.
Wild. It was wild. It was almost like I said it while we were watching the game. I was like, is Charlotte just practicing going down throughout, like in their training pitch? It was annoying.
Well, the first time Capetti went down, it was actually after him and Berkey were like arguing after a chance. They were arguing with each other, and Capetti turns around and just goes straight to the ground. Referee stops play, has trainers come out, and it was just like, man, you know you're not hurt. You know you're fine. So that was it was sketchy looking
I think
from the
he might have
Charlotte
been
team.
mimiking his newborn because he just had a kid, I think.
Oh, okay.
So congratulations, but act your age, man.
Yeah.
Grow up, man.
No more crying, dude.
Yeah.
All right. After about 5 minutes, though, St. Louis City got their first chance with their striker that you wanted to see in the last episode. You were like, I want to see Nicholas Giacchini come in and play.
Yeah.
And
there were a couple of lineup changes. We went from the 4-2-3-1 to a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
Which saw Klaus sharing the striker role with Giacchini, who was one of the people that we wanted to see in the starting lineup because I think everyone could tell he's just very technically gifted and opens up the field a lot for us, as well as Rasmus Alm coming off for our boy Blom. And that was a wonderful change.
Yeah.
And that 4-2-3-1, we ended up with the double pivot in the midfield of Blom and Leuven, which I think worked really well because one of them is more of a box-to-box and the other is very defensively sound and kind of keeps everything wrapped together in the defense. And that pushed Ostrak out onto the right side and Stroud out onto the left.
Yeah.
And I think that we had a lot of width today that helped a lot in our attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something that you commented on last episode. You wanted to see more width, and I think that really helped. You'll see that in some of the chances we talk about later on. But the first chance we had was in the 5-minute mark, and Giacchini, he just takes the ball off of Sistaniega, off his feet. Like some MLS type play, just capitalizing on chances, pressing the goalie. It's our high press play, and he passes it back to Klaus. You kind of hope Klaus does something a little bit more with it. Maybe he gives it another touch, but he tried to one-time it and just got it over. But
Probably a little nervous.
Great
a little antsy.
opportunity, and the crowd it instantly got behind and was like, all right, here we go. Like
Yeah.
that was the first clear opportunity, and the fans were ready for it.
Yeah, yeah. And then so you were talking about how we had a little bit more width to our play. John Nelson, actually, who's not known for getting up the pitch, he's way up the pitch in the 14th minute, passes to Ostrak, but on the way to Ostrak, João Klaus dummies like he's going to take a touch on that, and he lets it go to Ostrak. Ostrak gets a quick, shifts the ball from his right foot to his left foot and pops with a great chance. I honestly can't believe that Cisniega had that save.
Yeah, if it was a little bit higher, I think it's
Yeah.
in the back of the net. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was an incredible save.
Insane save by Cisniega. I think he got let down a bit by his defending line in this game, but I guess we can get more into that when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you'll see this throughout the game, but St. Louis City didn't have a whole lot of possession. It doesn't seem to be, we don't really care about that.
Nope.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like both games we had like 39% possession, but very much in the first half, St. Louis City was in charge. Had all the chances. They had 11 shots total, 5 on target throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
But very much in control, very much in the driver's seat.
Yeah, you can kind of see from a strategic like coaching, and maybe Lutz has some input on this as well because he knows soccer so well, that they're totally willing to allow the other team to have the ball and make the mistakes so that we can capitalize on them and press them high up the field, just win it really early in any type of build-up, because he probably thinks that I don't like we can press the ball away from them. I don't trust these MLS players to like create a cohesive build-up through like play through our press.
Lutz knows where this team is playing, and he knows that the MLS there are going to be a few weak links here and there, and yeah, capitalizing on those weak links is going to be key.
Yeah, I think it frustrated the Charlotte team as well because they were just, like I said earlier, they were chippy. Everybody was going down. They were asking for fouls. Enzo Capetti, he ended up fouling Leuven in the 24th minute, right outside the box. And so you see it teed up. Leuven's kind of our free kick specialist. You see it teed up, and he sends one right into the wall. And I was like a little disappointed to see that, but then I was like surprised by the audacity for him to hit that ball the second time. One time forces a really great save out of Cisniega, the Charlotte goalkeeper. That second goal.
Yeah,
and then instantly that's like the counterattack from that.
Yeah, pretty much the next play, Charlotte comes down, and Sir, what's his name? Swiderski. Yeah, he whips a ball in from the right side. Beautiful. I mean, you really can't take too much away from Charlotte on that goal.
No, I think it might be a little bit of a defensive breakdown between Parker and Nerwinski. Like communication fell through because I think Parker told him to take Capetti, but Nerwinski had a guy behind him, so he couldn't really take him, and he was just drifting in between the two. And perfect ball,
gets a
great header.
Yeah, he was real free though. You would like to see Nerwinski just because he's the one who has the line of sight on that, get in front. But beautiful ball by Swiderski.
It was a clean, it was a clean header into the bottom left-hand post, and I mean that's unsavable.
Yeah, Berkey had no chance on that. You can't really say anything.
Another non-reaction from Berkey, but
what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
So that was the first goal that was scored at City Park. Unfortunately, it wasn't our own. But in the 41st minute, Jake Nerwinski floats the ball into Klaus. It seems like they were kind of forcing chances to Klaus as our target man a little bit, but you put the ball in dangerous area, dangerous things happen. He floats that ball in, and Bill Tuiloma, he headed in an own goal, leveled the game.
Yeah.
Everybody was rocking. I don't know, what was the stadium like for that
Oh
own
my
goal?
gosh, it was jumping. Yeah, you definitely felt the wind taken out of the sails, after that first goal. Obviously the St. Louligans and that entire supporter section are never going to quiet down, and I think that solid, voice coming from that end of the stadium kind of helped people get through, but you did feel it deflated. But once we tied it back up, we were right back in the game. Everybody was right back rocking. So it definitely changed the atmosphere in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then right before kind of the half mark, both of our center backs end up with yellow cards. And I was a little bit concerned about that. I was like, okay, well, you need Tim Parker, you need Hebert to stay in, or else you're looking at like a Josh Yarrow coming in to fill in. So that was a little bit concerning, but we'll move on. And
yeah, and that's to a certain degree, I think, like a known I wouldn't call it a weakness. It's a tactical pitfall in the sense that we press so high that like there is a lot of space in between the like midfield and defense. And anytime that they do break down the press, they can kind of get balls in behind and run at the defense because there's so much open space. And I think that it's well instructed for Hebert and Tim Parker to kind of go in hard and make sure that they don't get to keep running at the defense. Yeah. So they made some hard tackles, and it's part of the game.
Yep. And I think that's working for us. It's all intentional, and it seems to be playing well. And then in the 45th minute plus stoppage time, John Nelson again playing the width, plays a ball in. He whips a ball into the middle, and Swiderski just happened to have his hand in the way, and couldn't do a whole lot about it. But it was absolutely a clear penalty. Yep. You were right there. Right.
No, other end. That was the other end. But you saw the referee. The referee kind of looked, and he was like, it looked like he was contemplating for a second. Yeah. But the second he really had some force behind pointing to the penalty spot, and the whole crowd erupted. Everybody was going crazy. It was friggin' loud in there. Yeah, I mean, and it's also a huge moment in that game. It's right before half. You have an opportunity to go up 2-1, complete momentum shift. You're thinking, you're like, all right, well, who's taking this? We haven't seen a City penalty taker yet. We saw
Giacchini in the preseason take pens.
Yep.
And personally, I would think it would be our Klaus, number 9.
Man.
You kind of want to see that. But
I would have thought it was either one of our strikers, but
give it to the dead ball specialist. Give it to the man who can put something away, and man, did he.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, a beautiful penalty. Unsavable. Nobody's doing anything with that. Put it in the roof of the net, top bins.
Put the fear of God in that ball.
Yeah, he did. Leuven's got God on his side.
Absolutely.
And that just totally changes, the way that the entire stadium, everybody, on the field is looking at the second half. We go from 1-0 down to 2-1 up in the matter of 10 minutes. Everybody's feeling great going into halftime.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so huge for your first game at home too, just to bury that. I know that he is very seasoned player, but it means a lot for probably the younger people on the team to bury that and go in 2-1 up rather than 1-1, and you should be 2-1. You would still be just as deflated as if it was 1-0.
Definitely. Yeah. So that was a huge penalty, a huge make.
Yeah. Yeah. Coming into the second half, City again, I felt like we just kind of ran that game. Even though we didn't have the possession, it was all us.
I think we definitely looked like the better team.
Yeah, we were much better side. In the 59th minute, Tomáš Ostrak beat his man on the left side, and he played like a nice little. It was a pass in between two defenders, right outside the 6, probably like the 8-yard box for Klaus, who he had a good chance there. You kind of think about in that moment, you have no time as a striker to think about where you're going to go. If you're going to try to go top left and beat the keeper high with pace, or if you want to go bottom right and try to beat him just with finesse. Klaus just kind of blasted it right at him.
Yeah. But I would say overall, I'm a little disappointed in our finishing, except for Ostrak. Ostrak with that one where he tried to put it near post at the beginning of the game. That incredible save. Give the goalkeeper all the credit there. But Klaus, I feel like you always hit that one low and hard and just hope that it pings back out into the middle, somewhere, and someone can jump on it or something like that, or just put it between his legs. It's true. Something.
You don't have that foresight in the moment, though. You get that ball played in, you're just like, I gotta hit this. Let's go.
I mean, I think if you look at his 2 big opportunities up to this point, you do kind of wish that he did a little bit better and maybe had a touch on the first one, and maybe look to put it somewhere other than straight to the goalie on the second.
Yeah. Well, and then the next chance, man, I can't tell if this is an MLS thing because we're all pretty new to following MLS now that we have a City team. Mm-hmm. We're all more Prem guys or La Liga guys or Bundesliga guys. But both games we've been given a pretty blatant goal, just passed away. It was the 70th minute, and the Charlotte center back Malanda, he gets a ball played from his keeper. Klaus is in between the two of them. And he tries to play it back to his keeper, And
Yeah.
Klaus was like, give me that.
Yeah, I'll
That's
take
all me.
It was such a soft pass.
There's-
There was no intent behind the pass at all.
Yeah.
It was so free.
There was a lot more to do than the Stroud goal, though, I feel like.
Oh,
because
yeah.
the keeper did, like, run at
He
him.
was out
and
there.
He was out there, and so Stryker did what a striker does. Chipped him,
Lobbed-
put it into the back of
lobbed
the
him.
net.
It was still quality.
Oh,
Still
for sure.
extremely quality, but just
Yeah.
given to us, you know?
Yeah.
So now,
Well,
That's the
Pe-
mistakes. You want
yeah.
to capitalize on them, and, like, if we're running them ragged with our press and
Yeah.
they're tired, they're going to get lackadaisical and make mistakes, and we just got to be there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and people on Twitter have really been dogging. The people on Twitter have just been like, "Why do these MLS clubs keep giving St. Louis these goals?" And it's like,
It's 'cause
well,
it's
yeah,
rigged, man.
the opportunity is given, but the finish is not. You can't take the finish for granted.
No.
And
Yeah.
both opportunities that players have had
Tough.
such clean finishes, have stayed calm, cool, and collected, and put it away. And it's not easy to do. And so
no, all credit to our guys for putting those away.
definitely,
I do want to. I'm curious to see if this is just like early season jitters,
Right, where
and,
teams aren't
and you're
settled.
not going to see teams giving away gimmies like that,
Yeah.
freebies like that. So it'll be interesting to see.
Time
as we
will tell.
Go throughout the season. The next chance was in the 74th minute. There's a ball played in for Charlotte. They played it into the middle, and Nuno Santos heads one right at Berkey, and he kind of like. It was right at him, but it was low.
Fielded it like
and
a
so he
grounder.
fielded it like a grounder and like flipped it up in the air. So that was kind of our first look at Berkey doing anything.
Yeah,
In
he
the
hasn't
first
really been tested.
2 games, he hasn't really. It's
Mm-mm.
either the balls like the goals that have been scored against him have been so class that I know you gave him a little bit of grief for not reacting to something, but
Yeah, but
the goals were so class like you can't
Yeah.
even.
yeah,
you can't
much
fault
with
them
it.
too much.
Yeah.
But there will be opportunities that are going to come where, there will be savable balls on net that
Yeah.
we want to
Mhm.
see him stretch out and try to make the save.
Yeah.
But
can't make
Yeah,
a judgment call yet.
we'll have to wait and see because we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I'm playing a game in my head. I'm like, would Berkey have saved that Tomáš Ostrák strike? I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll see. He's a good keeper. We'll
He's
see.
a good keeper. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Charlotte had one more chance right at the end of the game in stoppage time. Kerwin Vargas tried to catch Berkey sleeping from like an egregious distance. He was like
Yeah.
43 yards out
Yeah.
and just like he bounced one in, but it still drew a save from Berkey.
Yeah.
But after
Had the
that,
stats.
It kind of looked like it was going wide, but
Yeah.
props to Berkey for getting down and making the save. I
Yeah.
mean, that was audacious. I didn't think that Berkey was that far off of his line, and if you're going for something like that, you're going to want to put it high and far away, not like right to the keeper.
yeah, it was a bit optimistic from
Yeah.
them. They didn't have very many shots. They had what do they have? They had 3 shots on target all game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 2 shots off target. So 5 shots total. That's like
There was really not a lot of like final third action for them at all.
Yeah.
Like we didn't really see a whole lot for them.
When you press so high and you don't really
Yeah.
get broken down that often, they're just not gonna see that many opportunities. And our defensive line is pretty great whenever it is called upon. So it's good to see. We are definitely dictating the game in a
Mhm.
way that's not usual, but it's working.
yeah.
It is working.
Who would you like to see do a little bit better? We've seen kind of a pretty similar lineup both times, but who are you looking to see do a little bit better?
I think that if anyone has looked suspect on the ball, it's been Nerwinski, and he hasn't been like outrageously horrible or anything, but he has been beaten a couple times by some wingers running at him, as well as looked not up to snuff with the ball at his feet in some attacking play, because this game we did see more of the wingbacks kind of pushing up to aid in the attack and
Yeah.
help the press, and I would say that Nelson looked far more capable than he did, whereas I don't know if the standards are too high. We watch, Prem games.
High
you see
level of
some-
soccer all the time.
Yeah.
balls whipped in by wingbacks from like 35 yards out, and they're
Right.
like right on the penalty spot. But he definitely could be giving Klaus some of the service that I think he desperately wants
Mhm.
in the box
Yeah.
to show off his kind of physical prowess in the
Mhm.
air. But that would be kind of my key performer in terms of
Who you want to see more from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I think seeing him up there, like seeing both of the fullbacks get up the pitch was a very positive sight in this game that we didn't really see in the first game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. It kind of looked like Nowitzki wanted to just feed whatever winger was out there and have him play that ball in when
Ostrak.
he had
Ostrak.
when he had opportunities, when he was open to play a ball into Klaus or Giacchini in the box. I think he was just looking to have the winger make that play, not him.
Yeah, I would agree. It'd be interesting to see next game if Carnell maybe gives Akil Watts a shot.
Yeah,
that
that'd be
starting
cool.
spot in the right back.
Or if we're like trying to play more attacking, we could see maybe a Pedro over on the left hand side.
On the left-hand side?
Nelson. Not that Nelson's been like bad or anything. I think he's been very good. Like,
Yeah. Real
Mm,
solid defensive
very-
player. He
you're
got
right.
up the pitch. You were completely spot on with us using our width more. This
Yeah,
game. That was so
it's-
nice to see.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's Giacchini allowing that to happen because
I think so to a certain degree, because with the formation change, you do have those wide players. You have the dedicated like Stroud and Ostrak out on the wings, whereas with the 4-2-3-1, you kind of end up with Stroud, Alm, and Ostrak and all like in the middle.
Yep.
And they're rather than them being able to get wide and stretch the pitch, they were having to kind of play off of each other in the middle. And it
Yep.
was just getting far too
And on the
clogged up.
press too, when you're that central, like a ball is played outside, and if you want to go press, you see those guys sprinting out there to the wings. It's a testament to energy conservation. Like those guys are already out there in this formation, and therefore they can just get on that ball immediately.
I think it fits us a lot better. I think that the Giacchini, in my opinion, needs to be a staple in the like starting 11 from here on forward. I think he looked technically like our best player with the ball at his feet, just in tight spaces and like playing quick 1-2s, linking the midfield to the attack. You didn't have to see Klaus kind of dropping in. You're able to see him stretch the defense more, allow the midfield to push up and link with Giacchini, and then further up the field.
And Giacchini, I think with his pace and his technical ability, it allows for more opportunity to play that ball in behind. And I think that we saw that St. Louis City players were kind of looking to do that a little bit more, release somebody, which Klaus, while he, I think he's got a strong foot, I think he's got some finishing capabilities, he's not that man to go make a run in behind. And, with Giacchini standing next to him up there, that's the player you can look to release and try to break away.
Yeah. Well, and then I think you made a good point about our energy conservation and how the wingers, Ostrak and Stroud, didn't have to do as much work. That was also just because Leuven and Blom did such a great job of clogging up the middle right there.
Yes.
That the press was more effective, I thought, from our wingers. But they ultimately, if you're pressing the whole game like that, you're gonna get tired legs. So Stroud comes out. He gets a yellow card in the 61st minute, and soon after,
Shortly
Carnell,
after.
Carnell makes the sub and brings on Rasmus Alm, which you called in the last game. You wanted to see him with fresh legs.
See Giacchini on for Alm, and that switch kind of happened in a way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You saw Vasilev sit this game rather than start, and you saw Blom come in, which was the other substitution that we all wanted to see after the way that Blom performed.
We ran
in the first game.
ran a Twitter poll actually on who the most influential substitute was. Blom won it 100% on 8 votes, and then the next question was, does Blom start in the home game against Charlotte? And that was 100% 7 votes yes. So we saw that was easily predictable.
So our fans have ball knowledge too.
Yeah.
That's
You
good
guys
to
know
see.
what's up. Way
You
to
guys
be.
know what's up.
He just looks a step ahead of everyone. Like,
Blom does?
on the field, yes.
Yeah.
Just in general on the field, he looks a step ahead.
I completely agree. I think there's some players you watch and you're like, you are better than the MLS. Not like I'm not really here to like dog on the MLS. It's an up and coming league and it's very exciting.
Yeah.
But there's some players that you're like, you could be playing in Europe right now.
Right.
And I'm not trying to get rid of Blom. I want him to stay
I
as
want him
long
to
as he
stay
can.
forever.
Yeah, but he just looks that much better than
Yeah, he
everybody.
does.
Like
He
the
knows
defensive
So-
positioning.
He knows where to be at all times. He's so impactful in breaking up transition play from the opponent's end. He's been my favorite player to watch so far. I absolutely adore that kind of CDM role.
Yeah.
It's such an important role, and when it's done well, I think it's really easily seen by fans. And so Blom, I think, he's going to be a staple.
He's not as gangly as a Paul Pogba, but he has the same kind of ability where the ball just like stays on his feet. Like people, like as soon as he gets it, if people press him, he'll have one or two guys like on his back, and he's still just like able to kind of like push them away while like making something happen,
Calm,
like passing it off.
cool, and collected.
It's
and that's what you want to see.
Yeah. I wouldn't say he's very much like Paul Pogba in that way, but completely different player in
Yeah.
general.
No.
More of a Tyler Adams, like go
N'Golo
get it,
Kante.
N'Golo
Yeah.
Kante type.
Yeah.
But you're right, he's
See
good.
him, but he's just got that like you can't get the ball off.
No,
him, man.
you can't.
I saw it happen once in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the amount of times where he had the ball and people are literally on his back, he just
Yeah.
his ability to keep it is insane.
And he knows like looking up, he's so aware of his surroundings, both defensively and even offensively. He knows when the ball needs to be recycled, when there's not an opportunity to push forward. And the ball is typically sitting with him in those opportunities anyways. So he knows whether or not we're going to transition forward or we're going to recycle and try to rebuild from the back.
Yeah, and for
And,
a CDM, the stats bear that out. Like he completed 3 successful dribbles. He knows when it's time to like turn it upfield because he sees the space
Yep.
and he's
And
got
he
a guy on
goes.
his back and he just goes. And
Yeah. What other stats did Blom have that game? Because
he's 22 of 28 for passes, so it wasn't the 94% pass accuracy that he had in the first game,
Yeah.
but that's pretty unsustainable. As well as 2 for 2 on tackles, 1, 6 of 8 ground duels, 1, and then he only committed 1 foul.
Yeah.
In all of that.
Yeah, you love to see that out of your CDM because he's you need him to stay in the game the
Yeah.
whole time.
Yeah.
And so you don't want him committing egregious fouls. Leave that to the
Tim Parker.
Tim Parker, Kyle Hebert, whoever has to
Yeah,
play
sometimes
bruiser
you
ball.
see
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
bruiser position as the CDM, like the
Yeah.
defensive midfielder, like a Casemiro or something.
Yeah.
But instead, you see a more like regal kind of defined player there.
Great word.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what the substitutions we saw? We saw Tomáš Ostrak come off, and he was replaced by Indiana Vasilev.
Who impressed a little bit. He seems really good in tight spaces with the ball, just like dribbling in and out of players.
I
got to be honest with you guys. Being there in the stadium, I really had no idea what substitutions were coming on. We were just absolutely jumping. I was trying to pay attention, but once the substitutions were coming on, I was like, I'm lost at this point. We were just too pumped and too excited to pay attention. So you guys will have to do all the substitution talk.
That's good. Well, I'm glad that the stadium was pumping.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want. You want that energy. You want that energy in the stadium.
It's about the team, not the individual player. It's all right.
Yeah.
So Tomáš Ostrak, I didn't think he had a bad game. I thought he had his high work rate. Ultimately, it was good to see him out on a wing. He looked a little bit more comfortable out on the wing. I'll say that.
And
created a few chances.
Right.
Like he put one on target that probably should have been a goal. Just got unlucky there. The second guy who came on for Giacchini in the 74th minute was Samuel Adeniran. So good to see him. I want to see more of Adeniran. I think they switched formations once they made that substitution in the 74th
back to
minute.
the 4-2-3-1.
I think they went back to a 4-2-3-1, and maybe a little bit more defensive minded. They had Adeniran playing out on the left side, and he was just. It's not like he was bad. He was beating some guys. He was making turns on the left side. Touches were a little heavy, but
He
I
was
think
playing physically.
he was a big man out there. He kind of reminds me of he kind of plays the same role as João Klaus. I think he
profiles as the same type of striker. He's like 6'4". He's bigger than Klaus. Like he's giant. And I think that if injuries come around or anything like that, I think that you'll see some rotation in that role. And
I'd like to see him
be
more
the guy.
I'd like to see him more central.
Yeah,
ultimately.
I agree.
Yeah. And then what else we have? And then I guess we had another substitution. You kind of expected this from having our first home game. You wanted to see a homegrown City player, and so Miguel Perez gets his second game.
Those were show minutes, I think.
Yeah,
Carnell
absolutely.
just was like, "Hey, check out this 17-year-old that's at Pattonville High School playing for us. Like, he's gonna be great. Here
That's
he
a
is.
flex. It's an
big
absolute flex. What was the stadium's reception? I watched it on the big screen, but I want to hear what it felt like.
I think it's hard to tell. I feel like the reception was mostly for João Klaus, who was obviously the substitution being made. But it was, I mean, the applause that substitution generated was exceptional. Everyone knew the work that Klaus put in, and I think everyone knows, what a great talent at 17 years old coming on. I think it was a combination of both of them.
Yeah.
So warm reception for sure.
Yeah. Who do you guys have as like your player of the game ultimately?
I think that it's got to be the big team change in my eyes with Giacchini, allowing for just a lot more fluidity in the attack. He was 20 of 22 for passes and created 2 chances. He didn't get involved in the, I guess, end of those chances as much, but he was just so integral in linking Leuven and Blom to the wingers or outside midfielders, as well as keeping Klaus involved. He did more of the hold-up play and just allowed Klaus to kind of stay up top where he wants to be on the center backs. Yeah. And I think that helped us a lot in the overall scheme of our offensive game.
Yeah. I completely agree. Giacchini made a big impact on that game. I still got to give it to Edouard Leuven just because, and you kind of expect it. He had so much freedom to play throughout that game because Blom was taking care of everything in the midfield. The wingers were able to press more on the outside. He looked really comfortable, and he stepped up in the big moment. St. Louis has a chance to go up going into that half, and he just took that upon his shoulders and buried a beautiful penalty. So I got to give him my MVP of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm going to have to go with Njabulo Blom. I think only giving up 1 goal to the Charlotte side while they looked weak at some points, I think is so positive, and I think a lot of that goes into effective Blom just being on the field. I think his ability to clog up space, I think his ball knowledge is just exceptional at 23 years old. I mean, the guy looks so good.
Yeah.
I think I have a really soft spot for that CDM role anyways, but only giving up 1 goal in that game. And another stat, actually, that Njabulo Blom had in that game was 0 dispossessions.
Wow.
Nice.
So he's not getting stripped. He is so calm with the ball. I got to give it to him.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think that Leuven being able to rack up these great performances speaks to what Blom is able to do, frees him up so much.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be as involved in the defensive part of the game, and while he can be more involved in the defense if need be, I think Blom just allows him to kind of do what he wants.
Yeah.
And that's great for us.
You saw that with total shots from Leuven this past game. Out of the 11 shots from the team, Leuven had 4 of them. So he's free to get up. He's got 0.95 expected goals. So high marks for
penalty gives you a lot for that.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MVP of that game, I think, can really go anyway. I mean, we've been blessed truly with 2 victories in the first 2 games. And while we can continue to be optimistic, I think it's so important to also be critical at the same time. And I think here today we've done a pretty good job at looking at the positives and the negatives.
Yeah. I would like to see maybe a little bit different look on the left side. Obviously what we're doing is working, and I love winning. And I think that's the ultimate – that's what you want. You don't want to change anything too much. But just out of my own curiosity, I want to see Samuel Pedro and Isak Jensen on the left side give us a different look on the left.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, you don't get to see Stroud really. He's not so much of a winger. I think that a lot of the reason why he gets the start on that left-hand side is he is technically sound, passing and pressing, but his fitness. He is a press monster.
Yeah,
so
he is.
If Jensen or Pedro isn't up to snuff in terms of the pressing, I think that's probably a giant.
And I would say Stroud is also our chippiest guy out there. I think he's the one who's out there, pissing people off and making them mad,
running into people's backs.
We haven't really, I haven't seen too many dives from very many St. Louis City players, but I will say that Stroud I've seen go down pretty easily a couple times and try to get in the head of opposition. So I think that's another value on Stroud that could be overlooked.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I feel like we're 2-0. We're going for 3-0.
Yeah.
I think only two other expansion teams have ever gone 3-0 in their first 3 games.
Wow.
So we're looking for that against Portland Timbers.
Trying to make some history.
Let's make history.
Let's make it happen. I think that's the pod.
Yeah, that's the pod.
Thanks for tuning in.
Definitely. And check out
Go ahead.
The MLS highlights of this game, because something that I think just before we wrap up here, something I think that's so St. Louis is you see after the Yao Klaus goal, somebody is Lion King priding their child, and beer is just being thrown. Beer is flying everywhere, and there's just this child.
And there's flags going in the background. And
definitely check out to get a good idea of the atmosphere.
The chaos,
Yeah,
Simba.
Yeah.
That gives you a great look into St. Louis. Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us today.
All right, tap in on Wednesday for the pregame analysis against Portland.
Portland Timbers, we're coming for you.
Yeah.